If you like what you see and you fancy catching a few of my streams, you can head over to twitch.tv/DinosaurusRex. If that's too much to remember, the link is in the description down below. Lockdown in reality has been taxing on a lot of us, especially myself, as I've recently been through knee surgery, sinus surgery, and possibly caught COVID. So how's your lockdown? However, this has given me a lot of time to think about what the future holds for Sea of Thieves, what could we expect in the future, and some of my own, I think, plausible possibilities. So, it's been a few years now since we've seen any new weather-based systems added to the game. The fog is perfect for keeping you on your toes at sea, shrouding your vision, and making sure that you're completely unaware of that humongous rock that's about to smash into your chest! But there's something around us, something very important to the game that remains incredibly vital to your journey, yet is untouched. The sea. Yes, the sea in Sea of Thieves, considering the biggest threat in the game, is something that's all around us, beneath our toes, and vital in our quest to pirate legend, is remained untouched. I don't actually fear the water itself. The contents of it I do, but the actual ocean itself, Mother Nature's bathtub, it's not scary, and I feel like this needs a change. One thing I've noticed in Sea of Thieves is that your boat never seems to take on water unless it's raining, you have a hole in your boat itself, or somebody physically bailing water from a bucket on your ship's floor. It seems pretty logical to me that waves should already be some form of threat in the game. Yes, there are waves currently everywhere around us, but I'm talking very distinct waves. Waves that make you consider your situation. Waves that seriously intimidate. I feel like introducing small tsunami-type waves would be a great way to instill fear into a crew out at sea and even on land. Imagine sailing on a calm blue ocean close to a few small islands, only to begin seeing the water just drifting away from the island's edge. Now, if you know how tsunamis work, this could be a rather alarming moment for any crew. What if you didn't notice and become marooned, stuck on part of the seabed? Do you abandon ship? Seek refuge somehow? Do you leave all your treasure behind, or do you bring it with you? To where, I don't know, but I'm certain it's something that would run through the mind of any pirate. Imagine not being close enough to an island to see these distinct changes to the ocean. Now, we know waves are most commonly caused by wind. Wind-driven waves or surface waves are created by the friction between wind and surface water. As wind blows across the surface of the ocean or a lake, the continual disturbance creates a wave crest. Now multiply that by, say, 100. Ships further out at sea could pay attention to erratic wind changes. Whether they take notice is up to the crew on board. But imagine being oblivious to the game's warning signs and then seeing this huge wave careering towards you from behind your ship. So, the reward for evading a wave? I guess not dying. Because if you're caught in the wave, I imagine water's going to be raining down on you constantly, so bucketing out water will be critical. Treasure that's kept on deck, I imagine, could be a risk of being lost overboard. And of course, general damage to the ship's mast and wheel is just a given. Maybe even having the ocean pulled away from an island's bay could result in opening a hidden vault that was originally inaccessible. Riches buried in the sand from years past being revealed for the first time. Now granted, this one does feel like a colossal change to the environment we experience today, but what's the harm in drastic changes occurring that can lead to situations like this? Maybe even connected to some kind of lore within the game. It seems elaborate, but I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Now, sticking on topic of the ocean, another water-based threat sprung to mind. Considering there's a fair amount of open-bodied water within the Sea of Thieves, I think it's safe to say that skeleton ships, megalodons, and krakens are pretty old hat. Most pirates now are quick to assemble a game plan within moments of one of these threats raising their head. It's either a case of fighting or evasion. Easy. But how about another quality of approach when it comes to survival on the seas? Much like the tsunami-based waves, how about a Maelstrom? A humongous violent whirlpool that opens up and drags everything towards it with no remorse. What's interesting about this is it could result in total disaster. Two ships completely oblivious to each other's presence suddenly being pulled closer to each other. Do they both focus on trying to sail out of the Maelstrom, Or does one ship feel confident in handling their escape and at the same time capitalizing on the distress of another ship by attacking? It's a situation that I feel could make or break the bond that a crew has for each other in a moment's notice. Everyone would have a job on board, someone working the wheel, another catching the wind to hopefully help in sailing out of the Maelstrom, another below deck patching up the damage that the boat's taking, another bailing water. It could become complete chaos. Now, I imagine some of you out there might feel that this possibly puts us against odds. Could be a little too tricky for new sailors, but the Sea of Thieves never really was one to hold our hand through things. The seas are unforgiving in the game, but most certainly relentless in reality. So why not introduce a touch of reality into the game? The Sea of Thieves is becoming bigger, more active, and I truly believe that Rare have it within their best interests that the world within Sea of Thieves starts evolving. Moving away from Mother Nature, I want to start getting supernatural. Ghosts in our world are either real or don't exist. In the Sea of Thieves, however, you're more than likely to encounter a real ghost. More so than you are a giant megalodon called the Shrouded Ghost that I managed to catch a glimpse of. Here's a picture for proof. Beautiful, isn't it? Now, my focus is on these two, Stitcher Jim and Flameheart. And before I go any further, my understanding of Sea of Thieves lore is slim. Very, very slim. So I'm happy to be educated by you, the audience, if my thoughts, ideas, or theories completely contradict themselves with something that I am either unaware of or have yet to encounter or understand. So cut me some slack, alright? Now, it's no surprise that the developers of Sea of Thieves are immense movie buffs. There are countless Easter eggs to movies throughout the game. However, one stands out to me so much that I can't not mention it. There's a particular plot point within the movie of Ghostbusters 2 that leads me to believe that this guy, Flameheart Sr., whose presence is seen throughout the Sea of Thieves in this demonic-like projection floating in the sky, is in fact homage to Vigo, the main protagonist in Ghostbusters 2, whose current astral or spiritual form is that of a floating ambient head barking orders from above and befriending a rather desperate man in hopes of ruling once again. Throughout the tall tale called Heart of Fire, we see Stitcher Jim being betrayed by Flameheart as his hand is burned by the Chest of Rage. At first I thought this was a small nod to the movie Evil Dead 2, where Ash's hand becomes possessed. However, looking back at Ghostbusters 2, I noticed a scene where Vigo makes his intentions known to his loyal servant by hurting him with an orange-like electric shock. Now, looking at the Heart of Fire climax, Stitcher Jim evidently gets burned on the same hand in a strikingly similar manner. We also learn within the immediate moment that Stitcher Jim has been betrayed, that Flameheart had betrayal planned all along, and that he no longer cared for the Chest of Rage. With both of these scenes in mind, I feel like the intention and execution are still too similar to ignore. Taking into account what unfolds from there in Ghostbusters 2, is it too outlandish to theorize that Flameheart Sr. will eventually take on the physical form through Stitcher Jim? Was the reasoning behind Jim plunging his hand into the Chest of Rage that contained the former crew of the Black Witch merely an act that is needed for the full physical resurrection of Flameheart Sr.? The chest had a connection to the spirit world, essentially where Flameheart still is, and it was merely that touch from Stitcher Jim that was needed to complete the connection of the spirit world to the world of the living. Now, because of this connection from Stitcher Jim, does that mean Flameheart Sr. now has a doorway into our reality inside the Sea of Thieves? I really think so. I don't think it's too crazy to scrape over a plot within a movie that is clearly being represented as a possibility to what we could expect in future updates. A physical form of Flameheart Sr., or a gateway to the spirit world that doesn't involve ourselves having to die in the process? Could we soon see our physical forms needing to traverse to the land of the dead through our journey in the Sea of Thieves? Or is it too much of a coincidence that Heart of Fire is also the name of a song in Rocky IV, another 80s movie where the song Hearts of Fire is being played over a montage of a man who is building himself back up from retirement, brackets the dead, to then reign supreme over the world of boxing once again, boxing being Sea of Thieves? Or am I just clutching at straws? But yes, that brings an end to these thoughts that I've had on the future of Sea of Thieves. I hope they've intrigued you enough to consider leaving a comment on what you think of them, where I've maybe gone too far, or whatever theories or ideas you may have yourself. If you're interested in following or supporting me in any way, you can find the generic links of Twitter, Discord, and Patreon within the description of this video. Thanks again, see you later, bye.